Welcome, Age of Vintage Society. Sally Field felt that using her training in method acting and drawing on her childhood pain is what helped her both release some of the anger and emotion tied to these events, as well as making her such a good actress. Many times she found herself still crying or reacting long after the director yelled cut. She was using acting as a kind of therapy. Why Sally Field used acting as a therapy. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Sally Field, from sitcom sweetheart to superstar. Born on November 6, 1946 in the sun-drenched city of Pasadena, Sally Margaret Field was the only daughter of Richard and Margaret Field. Her father was first an officer in the US Army and then a salesman, while her mother was an actress who worked intermittently in theatre, film and television, and was often unemployed after shooting wrapped up. At the age of 4, Sally's parents divorced and her mother married Jock Mahoney, a stuntman best known for his role as Tarzan in Tarzan Goes to India, a year later in 1952. Sally, her brother Rick and her mother moved into Jock's home, and 6 months later Jock and Margaret's daughter, Princess, was born. Jock was actually Jacques Joseph Mahoney, but was billed both as Jock and Jack O'Mahoney, and was a stuntman for Gregory Peck, Errol Flynn and John Wayne. He is most famous for his work in the television series The Range Rider and Yancey Derringer, along with his role as Tarzan, which he got due to his 6'4", 220-pound frame and great work ethic. He was a physically imposing man who once got paid an extra $1,000 for being the only stuntman willing to leap off the staircase in the fight scene of the movie The Adventures of Don Juan. He was also a charmer, a reasonable actor, and Sally was to say later that he was charismatic and like a Pied Piper with children. Behind the facade of the happy family that the Mahoneys showed to the world lurked shame and confusion for Sally. At the age of 11, Mahoney started using his charm to exploit Sally in the family home. Sally's abuse continued until she turned 14, when it stopped as suddenly as it had started, leaving Sally full of doubts, fears, anger and confusion. Sally found an outlet in acting in junior school and started to excel when she attended Birmingham High School in Van Nuys, California. Despite the toxic situation that Sally and her brother found themselves in, they both managed to achieve greatness in their fields. Richard excelled in school too and eventually became a theoretical physicist. At the age of 17, Sally got pregnant by a boy that she met after graduation. She was forced to go to Tijuana in Mexico for an abortion, as the historic Wade v. Roe abortion ruling was still 9 years away. She was driven there by the family physician along with her mother and says the procedure itself was quite traumatic. She woke up from the anaesthetic with the anaesthesiologist groping at her breast. Sally pushed his hand away. This time was never discussed again. Sally somehow got a bit part as an extra in the 1962 movie Moon Pilot. This gave her the confidence to try out for other roles, and in 1965, at the age of 17, after graduating, she did a summer acting workshop and was encouraged by a casting agent to audition for the TV series Gidget. She landed the role of Gidget from a pool of 75 other young girls in the long-running television and movie franchise series of the same name. Her show was cancelled after just a season but became popular after the summer reruns, making it a belated success. This was the role that established her career but tagged her as a frivolous, fun-loving teenager for some time, as producers and directors couldn't see past her cheerful character for more serious roles. It was at this time in 1968 that Sally married her high school sweetheart, Stephen Craig, and they had 2 sons, Peter in 1969 and Eli in 1972. It was tough to be a working mom with 2 young children to raise. It was especially difficult as Stephen was a TV and film producer and worked the same odd hours that she did. The ABC wanted to find another role for Sally as they could see her potential, and so she was cast in the show The Flying Nun, an experience that she didn't enjoy as she thought the producers treated her disrespectfully. Initially, Sally balked at doing the comedy fantasy role, but under pressure from producers and her stepfather she took it, mainly because she had no other offers on the table. Sally stayed with The Flying Nun for 3 seasons and it got good ratings, but it wasn't a role that Sally enjoyed. She did a few roles in made-for-TV movies and had a recurring part in Alias Smith and Jones, a western that did nothing to expand her repertoire at all. Lee Strasberg founded the Actors Studio where he taught method acting, and Sally decided to study underneath him. Strasberg was a demanding teacher and he brought out depths to Sally's acting that hadn't been seen before. She started to acquire a serious reputation amongst her peers and was ready to take on more demanding material, but there wasn't much around for her in Hollywood at the time. She was forced to take on another role with a fantasy premise in The Girl with Something Extra, but it was short-lived and cancelled about the same time as her marriage to Stephen fell apart, leaving her with 2 young boys to raise. Sally feared that she would be forever cast as the cute girl next door and heroine of the fantastical situation, but her acting workshops had paid off. She was recommended for a part in the movie Stay Hungry as a receptionist at a seedy gym. The movie was set in the subculture of bodybuilding, and the role of Mary Tate was as far removed from cute and wholesome as you could get. With this role under her belt, and even before Stay Hungry was released, Sally had auditioned and been cast as the title role in Sybil, a story of a woman with multiple personality disorder. Between Sybil and Stay Hungry, Sally finally became a serious actress, and her star continued to rise. In 1977, Sally was awarded a Primetime Emmy Award as Best Outstanding Actress for her role in Sybil, the first of many as it would turn out. Now seen as a serious actress that could also play a comedy role, Sally was in hot demand and she played alongside Burt Reynolds in the second highest grossing movie in 1977, Smokey and the Bandit, which not only increased her celebrity status, but launched her love affair with Burt Reynolds. Her love affair with Burt lasted formally for around 5 years. It was rocky and tumultuous. Between her own traumatic background and Burt's need to control people as a way to deal with his own celebrity status, this led to a relationship that was doomed from the start. They were a handsome couple and the world loved to see them together. They starred in a string of movies together, such as The End, Hooper and Bandit sequels. Sally felt that Burt exerted control over her in every aspect of her life. He told her how much to spend and checked what she was spending money on. He wanted a full report on every man she spoke to, and when he read the script for Sybil, he declared it unfit for her and threw it across the room. In her memoir, In Pieces, Sally says she felt she was being treated exactly how she expected to be treated. After all, that's how she grew up and didn't know any other way to relate to Burt or any other partner. Sally felt that her relationship with Burt was about her trying to recreate her relationship with her abuser, but this time somehow making it work. It was a confusing and complicated relationship for Sally, despite the whirlwindedness of it and their instant connection. She said their relationship was immediate and intense, but also had dark and frightening undertones to it throughout the 7 years they made movies together. While she was becoming a celebrity with blockbusters like Bandits, Sally was still yearning to be a serious actor, and in 1978 she was cast in the title role of Norma Ray, a southern textile mill worker turned activist. The movie was shot in the town where the story was set, and with Martin Ritt, the director, pushing her hard, he challenged her as an actress. He also awoke her social conscience. The movie was both a commercial and critical success, and Sally was nominated for and won the year's Oscar for Best Actress. Finally, her wholesome, cute girl-next-door image had been obliterated, and Sally became one of the most sought-after actresses in Hollywood. She played opposite the best leading men like Danny Glover and Paul Newman, which led to tension in her relationship with her boyfriend Burt, and gained career highlight after highlight on her resume. Her relationship with Burt couldn't last under so much pressure, and although they continued to date on and off for the next 2 years, they formally split in 1980. Her next Oscar was in 1984 for Places in the Heart, a story about a widow trying to keep the family farm running during the Depression in Texas. It helped solidify her ability to play tough Southern women who challenge adversity and win. By this time she had met and married her second husband, Alan Greisman. Alan was also an actor and producer with over 24 movies to his name, including Fletch, Soap Dish, The Bucket List and Being Charlie. As much as she enjoyed the challenge of these type of roles, Sally continued to enjoy success in comedic roles and co-starred in Murphy's Romance with James Garner and Punchline with Tom Hanks. Nearly everybody will remember her starring with Robin Williams in Mrs. Doubtfire. Her range and versatility were well known, allowing her to play the mother to Julia Roberts in another strong Southern woman's role in Steel Magnolias, and also as an American woman fleeing Iran with her children in a true story movie called Not Without My Daughter. Sally had her third child, another son called Sam, in 1987, who in time followed in his parents' footsteps. Sam is now a director, writer and producer who is openly homosexual and even wrote a script about his coming out of the closet experience. From this point, Sally's career moves from strength to strength, with movie roles and accolades being showered on her at regular intervals. She starred in Forrest Gump as Tom Hanks's mother, despite there being only a 10-year age gap. This role shows her versatility as an actress and the range of roles she can play convincingly. Sally's relationship with Alan Greisman came to an end in 1994, and Sally returned to the small screen for the first time in 20 years in a well-received miniseries called A Woman of Independent Means, and then made her directing debut in the film The Christmas Tree. She also directed an episode of From Earth to the Moon, a TV series in which she also acted. There seemed to be no end to Sally's skills and talents. The new millennium was also good for Sally as she matured and took on the role in the long-running TV drama series called ER. She played the mother of one of the doctors who suffers from bipolar. She played the part so well that people with no understanding of mental illness could comprehend the condition. For this role, Sally got a second Emmy Award, and the character returned in subsequent seasons. In 2004, Sally made her first foray into live theatre performance on Broadway, and was positively received, adding yet another feather in her already well-feathered cap. 2005 was the first time Sally's invincibility was threatened. She was diagnosed with osteoporosis, the loss of bone density many women suffer from as they age. Sally learned all there was to learn about this disease and became the spokesperson for Benivia, the treatment drug, as part of her multi-pronged efforts to raise awareness and promote its early treatment. Sally's latent activism ideas reared their heads, and Sally was not only vocal about osteoporosis, but also loudly critical of the American health system and its neglect of preventable lifestyle diseases. Her third Emmy acceptance speech in 2007 was censored by Fox Television, but the words, "If mothers ruled the world, we wouldn't have any more goddamn wars," was widely circulated on the internet, and gained more power because of the attempted censorship. Sally became a powerful voice for women's rights and of course bone health, and uses her celebrity status to promote the causes she is most passionate about at every opportunity. When Sally was filming Lincoln, a movie about the 16th President of the United States, Sally's mother, Margaret, was diagnosed with cancer. Sally spent a lot of time with her talking about all the important things that you do when people you love are running out of time. Sally revealed to her mother that she had been abused by her stepfather, and her mother admitted knowing of one incident. It was hard for her mother to hear that there were a series of incidents rather than just one. Margaret died on Sally's 65th birthday while Sally was making the movie Lincoln. Sally channeled her grief and loss into the part and won an Academy Award for her role as First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln, whose husband was associated by her side. The idea of a memoir for movie stars is not new, and Sally had been asked to do one many times. In 2018 she released the story of her life in a book called In Pieces, where she discusses mostly her lows rather than the highs of being a Hollywood superstar. It was full of bombshells left, right and centre, as despite her legendary status, Sally has not been confessional about her lack of confidence, low self-esteem and childhood abuse before now. She continues to work hard and has signed on for many new parts since the pandemic, and despite her 2 Oscars, 3 Emmys and 2 Golden Globes, she shows no sign of stopping any time soon. Her latest project is to play Jenny Buss, the mother of Los Angeles Lakers owner Jerry, in a yet untitled Showtime TV series, so it looks like we will continue to see Sally playing the roles of a strong woman in a man's world, now and in the future. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. But it wasn't just Sally Field who had an unbalanced family background. Why, Patrick Stewart spent much of his childhood being afraid. Watch this video and find out.